In the pilot plant, the canning lab, we put the beans through their paces. We try and see how they react to being soaked, how they react to being cooked, how they react to being canned.
Or we put advanced lines through rigorous cooking and canning tests in order to see if they are up to the same standards as currently released lines that industry uses.
We're going to can some black bean varieties to see if we can see some differences in the canning quality. We have 2 shiny bean lines and 2 matte black bean lines. Almost all set up. We soak the beans overnight and we see how well they took up the water. The beans need to have a hydration coefficient of 2 or greater. At least twice the weight of the beans need to have been absorbed by water. And then we cook them or blanch them, depending on if we're doing a cook test or if we're planning to can them. Our steam table works like a double boiler. We put hot water around the outside of the beans in the metal beakers so that it's more temperature stable. That way we're boiling them consistently at 93 degrees Celsius. Good. And then we put them in the cans, sterilize them in the retort, and after 2 weeks of letting the beans settle out, we test them. So we leave 1 centimeter head space. So when we put it under a lot of pressure, we need some room for something to give. And that's the air. The retort is a very fancy pressure cooker. The cans sit inside a container on their side and the machine is rotating so that the cans are spinning inside, which means the content is constantly moving. That allows for even distribution of the heat throughout the can, which ensures all the potential pathogens are killed. This is very similar to what industry does. It's just on a very small scale. We run 26 cans per run of the retort. The industry does several thousands. Right now it is coming up to temperature and pressure to sterilize the bean cans. The canning lab is unique in Canada. We get samples from Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. They send their samples to us so that we can can them, and then they know that what they're producing is meeting industry standards. We're going to open the beans that we've canned to see what the canning process did to the beans. We're watching how the beans flow out of the cans, how many stick to the inside, not an actual number, just a general feel, and how they look. If they look appetizing, you'd want to eat them. So we're looking at a 1, I'll give that one a 1, a 1, 3.
So visually I can look at a bean and I can say, okay, we've cooked these beans. This line of black bean is much more black after cooking than this line of black bean. But that's not really good enough for industry or for anyone really. So we need to attach a number to that. And what the chromometer does is it can attach a number value to this bean is different because it is here on the spectrum, and this bean is more black because it is here on the spectrum. The texture meter also gives us a number for texture, and it gives us a graph reading on, okay, how hard is it or how easy is it for this to go through this sample of beans. So it mimics our chewing. It's going to say, is this bean sample hard to chew? Is it too easy to chew? And again, it gives us a quantifiable number which we can then accurately compare. Because if you can imagine putting like 50 samples a day in your mouth, you're going to get kind of biased somewhere in there. We evaluate beans and come up with new bean lines that can keep up with industry standards in order to maintain a solid bean production industry here in Alberta.
It's tricky. It's difficult to say the least, but the challenge kind of makes it fun.